Hi, it's Alaska Granny. I thought I would share with you the prepping that I did this week. I focused on two areas, water and lighting. And you can do a little bit at a time. Nothing has to be big or expensive, but prepping is a lifestyle and it's something that we do a little at a time every single day. You can think about how can I prepare to keep myself safe, to keep my family going, to smooth the way for the future for every single day. Well, the first thing I worked on was water, because water is absolutely the most important prepping supply that you can have. Everybody needs to have a minimum of 1 gallon of water per person per day stockpiled in your house. Try to have as much water as possible, because the 1 gallon is simply for actual drinking. It'll keep you alive. It doesn't include any of the dishwashing, hand washing, bathing, laundry that we do. Here's a chart that just shows you, for example, the average amount of water that people use on a daily basis for these simple tasks. Get a grip on that number when you realize that you're only told to store 1 gallon per person. It's a little eye-opening when you think about it. I do like to buy some of the water in the big jugs, but then I keep inspecting it, because you can see this jug is starting to disintegrate. Well, this isn't water then that I want to rely on for drinking. And so I was replacing these with some fresh bottles that are sturdy and in better shape. That doesn't mean you have to discard the water from the weird shaped container, but don't use it for drinking anymore, because we don't know what the plastic is doing to the water. You can store it away if you have the room and use it for hand washing, dishwashing, laundry, flushing toilets, things like that, for emergency water, for cleaning things, but don't use it for drinking any longer. And if you don't have room for it, you can still take it outside and pour it over your garden so that it isn't wasted, and then you can recycle that collapsing container. Another thing that I do is I save up sturdy pop bottles that have only held food and hopefully not anything flavorful, and I also fill those up with clean drinking water. As long as I clean this container well, then I fill it with the water from my big Berkey water filter, and I know that this is safe drinking water and it can last for a long time. Occasionally I do decide to rotate the water. I'll use it for some other purpose. I'll pour out this water into the garden or use it for some cleaning project, and then I'll refill these with the filtered water out of my Berkey. You don't necessarily have to fill it up with filtered water, but if you have it, go ahead and use that technology. If you have safe drinking water coming out of the faucet in your house, that's going to be perfectly fine too. I don't ever add anything like bleach or water preservative, because I haven't ever felt that it's necessary. But you can do your own research, and if that's something you want to do, an additional step that'll help you feel more confident, go ahead and do that. I also like to get some of the great big 5-gallon containers and even a water barrel where I have a space, and then I'll fill those up as well. The thing to remember about stored drinking water is that each gallon weighs 8.5 pounds. And so if you have something that's 5 gallons, 10 gallons, 50 gallons, you need to know where you want it before you fill it up, because it could be too cumbersome, too heavy to move. And so you need to set it, fill it up, and then you'll have your water ready to go. There's no one right way to store water. The right way is that you have some and that you're preparing what fits your household, your needs, your space, and that you have as much as you can. The next prepping task that I worked on this week was on some security lighting. If you have, say, motion detectors, you need to make sure that your switches are set accordingly, and if, say, you've had a power outage, that can mess up the times that they go off and on. So you need to check your system and make sure that it's working properly. And even then, sometimes you need to replace the bulbs. Another simple thing that I did was I bought some of the dawn to dusk lights for some of my regular outside light fixtures. These have a sensor, a red dot on them, And when the light hits it, this turns it off. And then when there's no light hitting it, then it's dark, then this bulb goes on. And I found these to be very effective. You just want to make sure that when you put it in your fixture that the sensor is pointing towards a source of light. If you have it set against your house, it's not going to go off during the day because it's not going to get enough light. So these are great. I've been pleased with how they work. I've ordered these on Amazon and I found them to be very effective. I also bought some extra light bulbs just to have for the fixtures in my home. Figure out what kind of bulbs you use and have extras on hand, because it seems like when one goes out, that's when a whole bunch of them go out. I don't know why that is, but that's what happens to me. And so I like to have a supply of extra ones that fit the different fixtures that I have. If you have any fixtures that take a particular bulb, I like to keep track of what the label is and label what light fixture that goes with and then what is that bulb, so that I don't have to try to figure it out later. Sometimes you can still see on the bulb what it is, but sometimes you can't. And then you've saved yourself trying to do some kind of a puzzle that may not have a solution by simply referring to your own information. I like to use the little plug-in night lights, and usually they just have a sensor on them, and I put these, say, at the bottom of the stairs, in the dark hall, in the bathroom for nighttime, and even in the garage, so that if you go out into the garage, the light is on. A little tiny light can be enough to light the way. Now when you look for these little fixtures, some of them just have a little built-in bulb, and these are disposable once you're done with them. But if you find some that have an actual little screw-in light bulb, you can buy extra light bulbs and have those in your stash so that you can change those light bulbs, and for much less money you can continue to have a little night light. I've even picked these up at Dollar Tree, so for 3 bulbs for $1.25, that's going to give you many days and months, even years worth of little bit of light in the dark. I've recently also picked up a few little emergency lights at the Dollar Tree, even with some extra batteries. Look for these little kind of lights. There are a lot of varieties. They can provide a lot of light. I've bought a few of these. I bought one and took it home and tried it and found that it gave all kinds of light. So then I've picked up a few more as I've seen them, so that I have extra emergency lights around the house. They're great to have for all kinds of lights out emergency situations, and even just stick them in the closet where you don't have a light bulb, or put them in the trunk of your car if you don't have a light in the trunk, and then you're going to be able to find your way around and see what you're looking for. The last prepping item that I worked on this week is picking up some more of the solar lights. These are a little more than $1. They are great, long lasting. They have a solar panel in the top. You can put them out in your yard. You can use them when you go camping. You can take it apart, put it on a jar, set it on a picnic table. There's a lot of ways to use these little solar lights. They last a very long time. They give you a little bit of light that can actually be super helpful in all kinds of situations. We know that we want to have extra light around our home in the nighttime, especially with the world becoming a little more dangerous anymore. We want to make sure not only can we see where are the stairs and the trip hazards, but then we can actually look out at night and see if anybody's snooping around. It gives me great comfort to be able to know those things. When you pick up these solar lights, they usually come with a yardstick, so make sure that that's there in case you want to plant it into the yard. And then know that you can take these apart. The bulb is here. You can put them onto a jar. You can do a lot of things with them that you don't have to use them just on a stake in your garden. You also have the tab in here. When you pull the tab is what activates it. And so if you want to have these extra for emergency, don't pull the tab until you're ready to use them. They will recharge and you'll be able to use them again, but if you've pulled that tab and then you put it away in a drawer for an emergency, then if it happens at night and you pull it out, it's going to already be discharged, and you would have to recharge it and reactivate it in the sunlight for a day for it to work again. So store some of these away with the little tab. Put it back on the stake and you can have it just like this. You can even take a pile of them and put them in a big container on the tabletop of your picnic outside at night. There's a lot of things you can do with these besides just worry about having them for emergencies, but that's a good thing to have too. And speaking of emergencies, I keep one of these with my emergency toilet. so that if you need to go in the dark and the water isn't running and you need to use something in an emergency, that's going to help make your life easier. So that's the prepping task that I did this week. Leave it in the comments below. What are you working on? What did you manage to organize, prepare, or stockpile this week? We can learn a lot from each other and find out what ideas maybe we didn't think about and you did, that we can then put that on our to-do list too. I hope you'll like my video, share it with someone you think might enjoy it, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.